Hey, what's up everybody? Rob here from Ram Studio Comics. Welcome back. So in today's video, I'm going to show you some of my old artwork. So this has been requested multiple times, and I'll be honest, I've dodged this one because it's going to get bad, folks. Are you ready? Here we go. Yeah, look at this stuff. What was I thinking? Why did I even become an artist? Because I love it, that's why. Anyways, so what I want to show you here is that this is really like the back of a page. So everything that I ever drew on, I swear I always drew on the back of it as well. I feel like that's all, like I need to put something right there. I don't want to waste that real estate. So I'm always practicing, always scribbling. So this was definitely 90s, early 90s, because I think that's Warblade, I think that's Backlash. So, you know, I was always scribbling these characters, and the funny thing is that looking back at this, I must have been 16, 15, somewhere in there, like thinking, wow, I'm really a good artist. I could do this stuff. But I think what happens is, for all the bad ones, there'd be like a little moment of clarity. Like I kind of like that face a little. And so I think that's what kind of keeps you going. You go to draw something and something manages to come out right, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm kind of on the right path, you know. So there's a really bad one, but again, I would draw on the back of everything. I practiced for quite some time, and what's funny is like this one right here, sorry for the yellow paper, it's disgusting, I know, but it's really old and it's cheap paper. But this one has some significance, and this one is a 92, okay? So the significance of this one is that it actually got hung up in a comic store. So a buddy of mine, there was two brothers, Marty Folo, Pete Folo, great guys, and Marty had a comic store over in Burton where I'd lived. And my first comic store was, funny enough, his brother's, I want to say it was Pete's Comics, but when I first moved to Michigan, it was right up the road from where I lived, and I started to collect comics. One of the first books I picked up was Spider-Man #1 by Todd McFarlane, and I was like, whoa, I never thought comics could be this cool. So I started grabbing the books and trying to copy and make my own, you know, renditions of them and that kind of thing. And so yeah, years later, Marty and Bo had a comic shop on South Saginaw Street in Burton, and that was where I lived at the time, or by there. And I would start to take my work up there, and they were nice enough, great guys, to let me put my work inside that store. Why is that so cool? Like as a kid, to see your work on the comic book wall was just kind of like validation or something. You know, it was like felt like a big step, you know. And I think it really was. And what it did is it gave me that outlet to put my work out there, to showcase it, to get some feedback, to get people seeing it. And I think that I thought somebody was going to walk right up and buy it off the wall. I don't know what I thought, but I was just happy enough to have my work out there. And it actually led to a couple cool things happening. So this particular piece, a colorist saw it. He then offered to apply color to it, and I was obviously excited to see it. I guess it would have been my first collaboration. And this guy took Prismacolor colored pencil and went through this and made it look like a painting. I wish I could remember his name. I wish I had a copy of the artwork. I couldn't find it. All I could say is he did an amazing job. I had never seen somebody use Prismacolor colored pencil like that. It looked like marker or a painting when he was done. And he brought this thing to life. You know, it was a character I thought I invented, but now looking back, I realized just Silver Surfer with a cape. But he made it look stunning. He did the reflective skin, the power emanating off that. It was cool. And then this piece, and likewise others that I had got to hang up in that store, started to get other people talking about them. You know, so I'll show you another one here. So it was probably this one next. I think this was hung up there. I'm pretty sure. And I remember thinking that this one was, you know, I was really getting good. I'm ready to be a Marvel DC artist, you know. Looking back, I could see that I wasn't. And, you know, so at the time, though, I was just very excited because I was seeing improvement in my work. And that's what keeps us going, right? Just that excitement, that joy, the passion. That's all the main things that should be there. That's what keeps you going in the times when you're not getting recognition and you're not getting paid work and things like that. You're doing it because you love it. So, you know, what happened here is eventually people started to inquire about my work. They weren't buying the piece or nothing like that, but somebody had contacted me and said, hey, would you like to do a book? And which leads me to my next piece. Oh, and by the way, on this one, This is back when I was just using rapidographs, so those little technical pens, like a .03 or whatever. Well, I don't even think it was that. It was really tiny, and I would just shade everything with that. Yeah, it was just silly. I didn't even know what pens and paper to use at this time. So I get contacted by Louis Faba, who was nice enough to let me do some of his Air and Assault characters. So this was one of the characters from the book. I thought that was a hair. It's not. And so he actually started to give me paid work, which, again, looking back, I'm like, I was not ready. I can't believe I not only got paid work, but it was published and it got picked up through Diamond Distribution. Not this piece. The books were a little bit better, but this was some of the work at the time. And he was nice enough to give me work, so I was very lucky. But again, that all came from putting that work out there, letting people see it. And you got to remember, that kind of takes some courage. And I'm not talking about me. I'm trying to, impart this upon you. It takes courage to put your work out there and let people really kind of throw darts at it. I mean, not literally, but to say whatever they want about it. And you have to grow from that. I'm sure a lot of people look at this and go, oh my God, look at his legs. What were you thinking? Or whatever they said. I had to grow from that, to learn and go, okay, yeah, maybe the anatomy is really weird. Maybe I do need to try something other than a technical pen or rapidograph pen, things like that. Maybe I do need to learn what line weight is. I just didn't know what I was doing there. But again, it's a stepping stone. It's kind of a means to an end. You're going to keep trying and growing and then keep going on. And then from there, I'm going to show you something that's a few years later, because it would just take too long to show you all these bad illustrations and in sequence. But this is years later, 2011. Now, mind you, I had kind of gotten away from comics. I never stopped drawing. I really want to stress that. I've always drawn. I've always drawn on the back of napkins if I was sitting at a bar having a drink with a buddy. I just have always drawn, okay? It's just what I do. I did caricatures for a while. I drew for animations. Well, I created the 3D animations, but they would start on paper. I always drew something. So it's not like when I show you that big span of work, I just quit drawing. I came back and, maybe hopefully this looks a lot better. I was drawing the whole time. But here's where I started to get serious again and go, you know what? I shouldn't have took that break and veered away from comics. Because I did. I pursued those other things because I wanted to make a good living. And looking back, I wish I would have just stuck it out with comics. But I'll tell you, it was a bit scary. There was a lot of naysayers as far as people saying that you can't make a good living and comic market was dying. And I listened to a lot of that negativity, and I shouldn't have. But hey, whatever. Things happen. I just want to again impart that upon you, hopefully. But here I started to do a little bit more perspective. This is still a bad piece, a lot of bad anatomy, and but I remember being very excited about this one. So I wanted to show you that one. Because again, I think the passion and the part where you're excited and your creativity starts to get going, I think that all comes through in the work. And yeah, so I felt like that was happening here. You can be the judge of that one. But then here's another one where, okay, this was after the one I just showed you. And I feel like the other one was better. I feel like this one, this is another funny thing about this progression of being an artist, right? I feel like this one at the time I thought was way better than it was. And I think the reason for that is because there's pieces of it that I still like to this day, but as a whole, it just does not work. It's just a bad piece of art. But if I was to go like this, right, a Ouija board or something, if I go like this, I can look at parts of it that I like. I like the hand. I like the forearm. I like the little wrinkle effect there in the pants. But not a big fan of the way I drew these tumors on his back or these windows that look like garage doors. So again, there's parts of it I like, and there's parts of it I just look at and go, what was I thinking? Perspective was really difficult for me at this time. Obviously, it's like a weird one-point perspective with way too many bricks. And that's that thing where you gotta identify with that, because I'm sure people were telling me that when I posted this, and some people were saying, it's cool, and other people were saying, dude, what's up with his pectoral muscles? Why are they like big bubbles on his chest? And if I don't accept that, if I don't learn and grow from that, then I'll stay here. So I just want to make sure to point that out. Now, like I said, I was starting to get more serious about penciling again. I was actually fortunate enough here to get asked by Randy Zimmerman of Flint Comics. He's got a channel, by the way. Check him out. Great guy. tons of great information about comics. He's been in the game for a long time. He was nice enough to let me work on a short story for his character Spark, and I even created this little meanie guy, Cortex, and I was able to write the story and illustrate it. I think it was 5 pages, and it was a little short story in the Flint Comics. So here it was years later. I was getting published again. Super excited about that. It felt like I was back home. Like it felt like I was back where I should have been. You know how they say that like deja vu is because you're experiencing the life you should have, so that's why you're having that like you're remembering things and you get deja vu. I don't know about all that, but all I'm telling you is that by doing this, I felt like I was back to, where I was supposed to be, drawing comics, and again, as bad as this is, I like parts of it. Her head's way too big, his head's way too big. I'm critiquing it because I want to get better. The background's very boring. I still kind of like this panel, strangely enough. But, again, that's what it, and I actually kind of like the middle panel a little bit. The whoosh. Okay, so now, again, this is a couple years later. Not much, but the significance of this one, well, the main one is 2014. My son Roman was born, and yeah, my new hero. And he's also my motivation and inspiration these days for almost anything I do. So I drew him my favorite character, Spider-Man. And the other thing I can remember about this piece is that I struggled with it. Like I felt like the pose was very dynamic. I was starting to get poses that were coming out towards the screen more. So I thought that was kind of cool. His head's real small, this arm's too big. But look back here, what do I got? A bunch of poorly erased buildings, right? So at about this time, I was really starting to utilize digital more, mainly for that reason. Like perspective tools were a big deal for me. I felt like I needed a little bit of assistance to draw out those perspectives that I wanted to see in my own work. And I had already been dabbling with digital drawing. I remember I was using Adobe Illustrator to draw, which is just, silly looking back because it didn't support all the things that I use now, but it had perspective guides. And then after that, I realized Clip Studio had it. So I specifically remember taking this particular piece, bringing it into Clip Studio Paint, drawing out the background, finishing out the colors. And so what I want to say there is, kind of back to that old thing of like digital, traditional. I don't think it's one or the other. I think that, it's nice to use the tools to the best of their ability. They're just tools. And then ultimately, when you learn one thing and another, transfer that workflow or what you learn to the other medium. I always think that's a good idea. So here's an example of what I do nowadays. This is a more recent piece, and I just feel a lot more comfortable drawing all these buildings inside of the app Procreate here. I can zoom in, I can tighten up on the work, stuff like that. And lately my next stage is actually taking the work that is digital that you see here. I put it on 11 by 17 paper, print it out on a Brother printer that I have that supports that size, and then I'm transferring it to artboards like these. So really that's just something I'm trying to do. I always try to change things up a bit, and I'm really trying to marry the two together, the traditional and the digital, as much as possible. I feel like if one's easier, so for instance, if buildings are easier digitally, then maybe I should use that to teach me how to draw them traditionally. So again, if one gives you a boost of confidence, maybe you draw faces better traditionally, do it there. Save yourself time, get your production up, but then maybe utilize what you learn there and bring it over to your traditional and vice versa. I think that's a helpful way to look at the tools and to ultimately keep developing your skills. But I really want to reiterate that digital and traditional both have some real strengths. Obviously digital, it's high res, it's a digital file. What you see is what you get. There's no loss of clarity from trying to scan an image. And then there's certain aspects of traditional, like for instance, you have an original, you can sell that, it's more tangible. People identify with it differently. Like for some reason, there's this weird idea that when you're a digital artist, you're cheating, but when you're a traditional artist, you're talented. And that really brings me to my final point. Like I really wanted to show you this video because this was a span of 28 years, and I even have art from before this that was even worse. As a kid, I was drawing dinosaurs and Transformers and trying to draw He-Man action, characters or whatever. So there was even older art than that. But I got boxes and boxes of stuff. So whenever somebody really, kind of goes, "Oh, you're talented," and stresses the whole talent concept, I don't know. I guess I don't really buy into it a whole lot. I believe in skills, developed skill sets. when it pertains to art. Now, are there people out there that could just naturally do things a little bit better? They're called savants, and there's other words for them. Of course, there is, but it's really a smaller percentage, I would say, a very small percentage, and sometimes that kind of backfires on them. I've seen plenty of instances where people that were naturally good at something got lazy and couldn't take it when they hit their first brick wall. So if you're somebody that's had to really struggle and really try to grow like I have, you've put in countless hours and hard work and read through books and just drawn everything under the sun at least twice, and so you're putting in all this effort. You gotta realize that there's a lot of strength there. There's a lot of things that you're developing that are gonna make you a better artist. And I'll tell you what, I would invest my effort or my time into anyone that is took the hard work ethic road over the talent. To me, I feel like they're going to really come out ahead because when they do hit those problems, they're going to be ready because they've battled them before. It wasn't all just given to them so freely and easily. Because again, when we have things come to us that easily, generally we don't respect it as much. Not everybody. I'm just giving you some ideas, and I've been fortunate enough to meet artists that weren't talented in the beginning, or weren't I shouldn't say talented. They're talented, or they weren't. They didn't have the developed skills in the beginning. Some of their old art was maybe as bad as the stuff I just showed you, or I don't know if it was that bad, but they developed themselves over time. The main thing that they had that kept them going was the passion, the love, and then you have to fuel that with the drive. You have to have the drive to do it because there's going to be times when you feel like you're not progressing. There's going to be times when you draw some bad art. You thought you had it all under control, and then you go to draw a face from a certain angle and it boggles your mind once again. That is going to happen. But if you have that hard work ethic, then you're ready to combat that. You're ready to flow right through that and get through it. Maybe even sometimes excited by that part. I try to think of it like that. If I find an area in my work that's not good, it's like, kind of eureka. I need to really figure this out. And maybe that's going to help me in all these other areas of my work. So then, kind of retrain your thought process. Like you're excited about those moments when you're not drawing as well. I know that seems kind of strange, but you can do it. But the main thing, like I said, is that you're passionate about it. You love it. And if you want this to be your job, it doesn't matter if it's just something you want to be a hobby. That's fine as well. Hobbies are a great thing. The love of it is the main thing. Keep it as something you love to do. But I finally got to the point where I'm like, no, I got to make this my career because I want to do it all the time. And generally, I look at it like this. If you're excited to do something, even though you're not getting paid for it, then it's only going to be that much more successful when you figure out a way to get paid for it. So to me, I just wanted to figure out a way to do this more so I could do it for a living and do it all the time. And I've been fortunate enough to be able to do that through, the YouTube channel here, through online teaching and Gumroad and all the stuff I do. So thank you so much for supporting that. And let me know what you got any questions. Put them in the comments section below. More content is on the way very soon. As always, keep drawing, keep having fun, and bye for now.